We're going to still work with pulse rates. That's sort of the theme of this chapter. The National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey in Haines, that's where I got our original data, they report that the mean pulse rate for women between the ages of 20 and 45 is 74.5 beats per minute, with a standard deviation of 12.2 beats per minute. Here's this information here. So we know that women's pulse rates are roughly unimodal and symmetric, so we have this beautiful bell curve here, the normal model I should call it, and I just jotted down Y bar and S so we don't forget them at the top. So our mean will go directly beneath the peak. That's our first labeling. The mean's beneath the peak of the bell curve. Now we're going to attempt to walk out one standard deviation to the right, which will require us to take our mean and add S. Here it is beneath of the curve. 74.5 plus 12.2 gives us a pulse rate of 86.7. That's our first tick mark. Now we're going to walk an additional, or move an additional 12.2 units to the right. That would be 74.5 plus twice our standard deviation. If you complete the math for that, you find that that's going to be a total of 98.9 beats per minute. We're going to go one more step, our third standard deviation. So we're going to take our 74.5. See, we've added one standard deviation. Here's 2. Now we're going to add our third. So our math beneath tells us we're going to have 74.5 beats per minute plus 3 times our standard deviation. That gives us a total of 111.1 beats per minute as our third standard deviation to the right. We're now going to complete the left-hand side of this image. We're going to fill out moving 1, 2, and 3 standard deviations to the left. To go from the middle of our distribution to the left to the first tick mark, we're going to subtract off the value of our standard deviation. 74.5 take away 12.2 is 62.3 beats per minute. In a similar fashion as we did going to the right, we're now going to go 1, 2 standard deviations to the left, which requires us to subtract twice 12.2. That gives us the difference of 50.1 beats per minute. Finally, our last tick mark on the left-hand side, 3 standard deviations to the left. 74.5 minus 3 times 12.2. That difference is 37.9 beats per minute. So we've successfully labeled our horizontal axis in our normal model. You can see if you move from any tick mark to the one to the right of it, you move exactly 12.2 beats per minute. All of these have been spaced out by the value of our standard deviation, 12.2. Our next step is to label the percentages inside the curve. This will complete our model and label it in a way that we can answer a few questions. Let's see. We want to talk about going 1 standard deviation to the right and to the left. So here's 74.5. 1 standard deviation to the right is 86.7, and to the left is 62.3. So I'm just putting those vertical bars. We were told from our 68, 95, 99.7 rule that approximately 68% of our data is between these two pulse rates. Now, all I'm doing here is neatly dividing this region in 2. So if I put a little dotted line there, extending from the mean, if I take the 68% and divide it in 2 equal parts, I will have 34% to the left and 34% to the right. So essentially we've moved out 34% to the left and to the right to give us a collective measure of 68% between 1 standard deviation. Now we want to move out 2 standard deviations to 98.9, as you can see there, and 50.1. Now, our second percentage in this rule was 68.95. So, between 50.1 beats per minute and 98.9 beats per minute, we should have approximately 95% of our data. Now keep in mind, we've already sort of accounted for 68% of them here in drawing our labels. So I have to figure out what exactly goes in this little region and this little region here. So we'll take our 95% and subtract off the 68% that we've already shown in the graph, and that leaves a value of 27%. So basically when you go from 68% to 95%, you gain 27 percentage points. So we're going to take these 27 percentage points and split them in two pieces. This is because we gained the 27% on the right and a little bit of that 27% on the left. I shouldn't say a little bit, exactly half of it. So half of 27% is 13.5%. And that's how much we gained to the right and the left by moving one more standard deviation. Now if that's a little confusing to you, you can check my math. If you add these 4 percentage points together, they will add up to 95%. Okay, our third standard deviation away accounts for 99.7% of our data. Almost all of it. Not quite all of it, but almost all. We will move from 95% at 2 standard deviations out to 99.7. It's a small percentage we pick up. Specifically, we pick up 4.7 additional percentage points. As we did before, we're going to split that percentage in two pieces, which results in 2.35% we've picked up to the right and the left. So we've fully labeled our normal model here according to our rule. You can see if you add up all 6 of these values, they will total up to 99.7%. Now this is a great diagram to have so that you can answer some general questions about women's pulse rates. Here we go. Here's our first question. What percent of U.S. women have a pulse rate between 62.3 and 86.7 beats per minute? So let's look across the eye. This is where the beats per minute are down here. We'll grab, there it is, there's the first one. There's the second one they mentioned. Let's see how far those are away with respect to the mean. This is 1 standard deviation to the left and exactly 1 standard deviation to the right. If we look between those two cut points, we can see that that encompasses 68% of our data, the 34 and the 34. So our first solution is 68%. This next question's a little bit different. 95% of women have pulse rates between blank and blank. So the answer to this question are pulse rates. So 95%. Does anybody remember how many standard deviations away 95% was? 2. So we start at the middle. We march out 1, 2. There's our right value of 98.9. We march out 2 here. 1, 2. Here's our left value of 50.1. Again, you can see that all the numbers between 50.1 and 98.9 add up to 95%. So 50.1 beats per minute and 98.9 beats per minute. Our last question. What percent of women have a pulse rate less than 50.1 beats per minute? Here's our 50.1. They want to know less than. Let's jump up here and check out these percents. 2.35%, and probably just a little bit over here that we haven't really labeled because they're wanting to know exactly all the way to the left here. Now keep in mind that what's between here is 95%. So on the extremities, if we don't stop at the third standard deviation, if we go on out, would be that leftover 5%. And as we have with all our percentages, we split them. So they'd be roughly 2.5% to the left. In other words, 2.5% of women have a pulse rate less than 50.1.